Good morning to the stunned viewers tuning into what was supposed to be a star-studded segment on ABC's Good Morning America, but instead erupted into one of the most unforgettable meltdowns in morning TV lore. Picture this: the bustling Times Square studios, lights blazing like a Broadway marquee, the aroma of fresh coffee mingling with a faint scent of hairspray, as co-hosts Michael Strahan, Robin Roberts, George Stephanopoulos, and Laura Spencer settle in for another day of feel-good chatter and celebrity spotlights. Enter Denzel Washington, the two-time Oscar winner whose gravelly voice and commanding presence have defined Hollywood grit for decades. From Training Day's streetwise cop to Macbeth's brooding tyrant, at 70, Denzel's still got that fire, promoting his latest passion project, a gritty biopic on civil rights icon Malcolm X's lesser-known early years. Directed by his son Malcolm and starring his other son John David in a breakout role. The interview kicks off smoothly enough, with Michaela, the ex-NFL powerhouse turned affable anchor, his megawatt smile lighting up screens since joining GMA in 2016. Leaning in with easy charisma. Denzel, man, family and film, that's the dream. Tell us, how's it feel directing your own blood on set? Denzel chuckles, his eyes twinkling with paternal pride, launching into a heartfelt riff on legacy, the weight of black excellence in Tinseltown, and the raw nerves of seeing your kids chase the same spotlight that nearly blinded you. The audience at home sips their cereal, nodding along, as Robin chimes in with her survivor warmth. It's inspiring, passing the torch without the burn. But then, like a linebacker blindside, Michael pivots sharply, his tone shifting from buddy banter to probing punch. Speaking of torches, Denzel, you've been vocal about Hollywood's gatekeeper, so old boys clubs still shutting out fresh faces, or is it all progress now? It's a fair hook, tying into the film's themes of systemic barriers, but Denzel's jaw tightens ever so slightly, that signature intensity flickering like a storm cloud on the horizon. He's no stranger to these chats of hell. He schooled interviewers from Oprah to Charlie Rose on the nuances of race, power, and authenticity, but something in Michael's delivery lands off, a glint of skepticism that Denzel reads as dismissal. Progress, son? We've got more diverse faces on screens than ever, but the scripts, the funding, still whitewashed dreams peddled by the same suits. Denzel fires back, his cadence measured but laced with edge, leaning forward as if to bridge the gap across the desk. George tries to lubricate, absolutely, and your film's shaking that up. Malcolm's story hits hard, but Michael, undeterred, presses, come on, D, isn't that the game? You clawed your way up. Why not celebrate the wins instead of harping on the losses? The word harping hangs like smoke, and Denzel's eyes narrow, the room's energy tilting from convivial to charged. Viewers sensitive, the Twitterverse, or X, as it's branded now, starts humming, is Strahan lowballing Denzel? #MadDrama. Back in the studio, Laura senses the simmer, tossing a softball about Denzel's workout routine to defuse, but Denzel sidesteps, doubling down. Wins? For who? Michael? The ones who look like you cashing those checks while we fight for scraps? It's personal now, the air thickening with unspoken history. Michael, the trailblazing black athlete turned broadcaster, versus Denzel, the elder statesman who's seen the industry's underbelly evolve at a glacial pace. The co-hosts exchange glances, producers in the booth whispering urgently into earpieces, but the cameras roll on, capturing every micro-expression, Michael's furrowed brow, Robin's subtle hand on his arm, George's neutral nod. This isn't just promo talk, it's a microcosm of generational tension in black media spaces, where optimism clashes with hard-won cynicism. Denzel's voice rises a notch, not yelling yet, but commanding. You sit here grinning through the gloss, but down in the trenches, it's the same old script, to rewrite it or get off the stage. Michael bristles, his athletic frame tensing. Whoa, Denzel, easy, I'm just asking questions, not writing policy. The audience murmurs, a ripple of unease, as the segment's clock ticks mercilessly. Social media explodes in real time, clips circulate, memes spawn of Denzel's glare captioned when the host forgets who's the king. Behind the scenes, the build-up was indecent. Denzel's team pitched the interview as a family affair, Michael's producers hyped it as icon meets powerhouse, but egos, like fault lines, Wait for the slightest tremor. As the exchange heats, Denzel gestures emphatically, his ring catching the light, while Michael mirrors with crossed arms, a defensive stance honed on football fields. Robin interjects softly, "Denzel, your passion's why we love you. Let's hear more on the film." But the pivot fails. Denzel's locked in, his baritone booming. "Passion? Try pain. Been a pain of watching talent like my boys get tokenized while hacks get handed keys to the kingdom." The sting lands, and Michael's retort is swift. "Tokenized? Man, I've broken barriers too. You think I don't get it?" The two implies equivalence, and Denzel's laugh is sharp, devoid of mirth. "Barriers? You leap over them on ESPN's dime. Some of us had to shatter them." Gasps echo faintly from the live crowd, the energy now a powder keg with a lit fuse. This opening salvo sets the stage for escalation, a clash not just of words but worlds of veteran gravitas versus modern media polish, unfiltered truth versus palatable narrative. The studio lights seem to dim under the weight of the unfolding tension, as if the very bulbs sense the storm brewing between Denzel Washington and Michael Strahan on this fateful Good Morning America broadcast. What began as a nod to Hollywood hurdles has morphed into a full frontal assault on authenticity, with Denzel's barbs cutting deeper, his posture unyielding like oak in a gale. "Shatter them?" "Damn right," Denzel presses, his voice a low rumble that commands silence. "But you're the poster boy for assimilation." A big smile, bigger contracts, forgetting the fight that got you the mic. Michael's face flushes, a rare crack in his unflappable facade, his Super Bowl ringed hand gripping the desk edge. "Assimilation? That's rich coming from the guy who hobnobs with Spielberg while lecturing us on the streets." "I've got roots too. Grew up in Houston projects, same struggles." The invocation of personal history is Michael's play for common ground, but it backfires spectacularly. Denzel's eyes flash with the fire of 1,000 overlooked auditions, leaning so far forward the lapel mix drains. "Roots? Boy, my roots are in Mount Vernon, dodging drafts and dreams." Defer Eda Langston Hughes ain't just poetry, it's prophecy. You flash that grin and call it grit, but it's gloss over graves. The metaphor lands like a haymaker, the live audience shifting uncomfortably, a few whispers turning to audible ooze. George Stephanopoulos, ever the diplomat, attempts a lifeline. "Gentlemen, let's channel this energy into the film's message. Malcolm's unity, not division." But the plea dissolves in the ether. Robin's empathetic gaze darts between them. Laura frozen mid-note. Off-camera, the floor director signals frantically, producers barking into headsets, "Ad break and kill the feed if it blows." Yet, the show must go on, ratings be damned, as Michael's counterpunch swings wide. "Graves, you're dramatic as hell. Denzel, that's why your movies slap. But this is morning TV, not a monologue." "Lighten up." The lighten up is the spark to kerosene. Denzel's laugh booming now, sardonic and seismic. "Lighten up, like you lighten your load by ignoring the weight. I've carried more on screen than you've reported in a decade. You try authenticity over anecdotes." Social media ignites like dry tinder. Denzel vs. Strahan trends at warp speed, with 100k tweets in minutes. Denzel's dropping truth bombs. Meltdown vs. Michael's keeping it real. These two intense. Team Strahan. Viewers at home pause mid-commute, jaws agape, as the argument loops into personal territory. Michael jabbing at Denzel's ivory tower post-Oscars life, Denzel retorting with Michael's sellout pivot from sideline to sofa. The co-hosts are mere spectators now, Robin murmuring "this is getting deep," while George nods vigorously, hoping telekinesis might steer the ship. In the control booth, chaos reigns, executives way aborting to weather, but the spike in viewership up 300% holds them hostage to the spectacle. This phase exposes the chasm. Denzel's rooted in the 80s indie hustle, Spike Lee collaborations forging his edge, while Michael's millennial media maven, leveraging athletic fame into a $20 million empire, embodies the post-Obama optimism that Denzel views as naive. Try privileged. Denzel snaps, gesturing broadly, his cufflink glinting like a badge of battles won. "You think one black host fixes the foxhole? Nah, it's cosmetic surgery on a corrupt system." Michael's voice rises, his baritone matching Denzel's timbre. "Privileged? I earned every inch sax on the field, Stories in the studio. You're the one with the awards wall. Judging from the penthouse, the volley echoes, words weaponized, the audience's energy feeding the frenzy like applause to a prize fight. Clips flood TikTok, users stitching reactions, a barista spilling latte mid-view, a teacher pausing class for history unfolding. Broader context layers the fry. Denzel's recent speeches at HBCUs railing against token diversity. Michael's GMA segments on racial equity often critiqued as surface level. With the interview teetering on the brink of broadcast Armageddon, George Stephanopoulos seized the reins like a seasoned diplomat, his baritone booming. Denzel, on that note of lived experience, how do you hope this film bridges generations? It was a lifeline lobbed into the lion's den, and Denzel grasped it, his narrative gift unfurling tales of Evers' widow Merle's enduring grace, drawing parallels to modern movements with the subtlety of a Shakespearean soliloquy. The audience hushed, transported from Manhattan's bustle to Mississippi's mournful marches, Strahan's interjections subdued to knots, his earlier fire banked to coals. Robin beamed, the panel's rhythm restored to a gentle sway, as cameras captured Denzel's animated gesture as a hand slicing air like a conductor summoning symphonies of solidarity. Home viewers, refreshing feeds, exhaled in unison, back to brilliancy. Denzel delivers. But peace proved precarious. Strahan, perhaps stung by the earlier slight or spurred by producer prompts in his earpiece, circled back with a zinger disguised as curiosity. Bridging generations is key, but isn't there a risk of romanticizing the struggle? Like, we celebrate Evers now, but back then, folks like my granddad were dodging dogs in Selma without the spotlight. It was a valid query, grounded in Strahan's lineage of Southern resilience, but delivered with an edge that sliced through the serenity, implying Denzel's portrayal glossed over grit for glamour. Denzel's response was volcanic, his frame uncoiling like a spring-loaded trap. Romanticizing? Michael, this film bleeds authenticity. I've pored over archives, consulted survivors, poured my soul into scenes that'd make your spotlight quip curdle. If you see romance, check your lens, the crowd murmured, a tide of tension cresting, as Strahan's brow furrowed, his retort laced with locker room bravado. Lens? Mine's wide angle. Brother sees the heroes and the hype, not everyone's arc gets the epic score. The escalation was swift, a spiral from scholarly to savage, Denzel decrying Strahan's sideline sympathy as performative, Michael firing back with accusations of elite echo chambers insulating Denzel from real reckonings. Robin's plus a gentleman, common ground. A echoed hollowly, George's neutral facade cracking into concerned creases. Control room chaos reigned. Executives barked overrides, but the raw ratings rush held sway. Let it breathe, just a beat more. Online, the frenzy fractalized, Reddit trance on racial gatekeeping, Instagram reels syncing the standoff to Kendrick Lamar's Alright, with captions like when icons improv too hard. This volley reveal drifts deeper than dialogue. Denzel's intellectual insurgency, tempered by fatherhood's fierce protection and faith's quiet fire, versus Strahan's visceral valor, etched from gridiron glory and single dad struggles. As voices vaulted octaves, Denzel's palm met the coffee table with a resonant smack. Hype. I've headlined headlines you only hosted. Don't lecture on legacies from a lazy boy. Strahan surged forward, veins tracing his neck like overtime veins. Lazy boy. Try Lombardi trophy to late night prep. I've earned every earned inch. The audience, once passive, became partisans, cheers clashing like cymbals, while co-hosts flanked futilely, Robin whispering asides to calm the combatants.